Starving Artist Podcast with Dave Fowler. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with a very special guest, the wonderful Jillian Lauren, a good friend of mine. Funny story how we met. So there's a gallery in Westerly near where I live. I don't think, you're close, but you're not super close. So we went into the gallery. Away. Right. So we went into the gallery one day, which I didn't even know was there in downtown Westerly, which is beautiful, by the way, if you ever get a chance to go. So I go to the gallery that I didn't know was there. And I walk in and I'm like, wow, some cool stuff in here. And then immediately I was like, that's really cool. Whoever did that, I really like that art. And then there was one other person I was like, that's really cool too, but I really like this stuff here. And then I took a business card, found you on Instagram and started following you. And then you in turn kind of followed me and was like, hey, I like your stuff. Your stuff's really cool. I was like, no way. That's so funny. So ironic because I actually really like your stuff. So I know that you, we're both in kind of gallery together. You were there a little bit before me, but I mean, where do we begin? I mean, I've heard people call it pop art. I'm sure you've had a lot of kind of labels put on your stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, how would you best describe what you do?
I think pop art is probably the simplest way to call it. I mean, I've had people call it performance art before, which I thought was a very interesting take on it, but probably pop art is the best avenue.
Yeah, pop art. I mean, I feel like pop art is a term that some people either love or they hate because it immediately kind of stirs up the Warhols and all this kind of stuff. But I don't think what you do is, I mean, obviously there's like references and there's homages, but I don't feel like it's anything that I've seen before. So I guess it's kind of hard to label it just, with a couple of terms there. But you paint a really kind of wide variety of subjects too. I mean, you do a lot of famous people. I'm a huge Marilyn Monroe fan. You've done a bunch of Marilyns that are fucking awesome. I mean, what's your inspiration? What do you what do you see in a piece that's kind of like, wow, I like this. I want to paint this.
Well, it's not always necessarily the piece that makes me want to, or like the person that makes me want to paint it. Typically in my process, I'll actually come up with a background in my head before I actually see the person.
Okay.
Depending upon the people I'm going to show the piece to, because again, a lot of times that I create artwork is because I either got commissioned on it or I know that there's a particular event I have to showcase the artwork at. I'll pick a subject. So, I mean, the Westerly thing with Marilyn Monroe and everything, that actually came out because every time I get stuck, I go back to Marilyn. I go back to women from the 30s, the 40s, and the 60s, not always the 50s, just because it's a reminder to me, or the way that they stand, it's that, get up and put your lipstick on. So no matter what's going on in your life, you need to get up and show your face and know that you can conquer the day no matter what's happening behind closed doors.
That's awesome. So, I mean, that's not even just something you can kind of apply to the art world. That's something you can kind of apply to your everyday life too.
Absolutely.
That's funny because I have
to visually manifest it.
Sure. And just what you said about kind of when you're ever stuck, you don't know what to do, you kind of go back to that. I don't know. I mean, I definitely have some characters and things that I like where if I'm kind of in a block or something, it's like, you know what, I'm just going to do this. This is super easy. This is what I like to do. That's funny you said that. But so, I mean, where did the painting start? Was it always painting? What's like your art journey like?
When I was younger, actually, I loved using chalk and charcoal because I liked getting in a mess. And I wasn't actually allowed to paint when I was younger because it was too messy. Okay. So everything had to, be in its place and be clean. Had a fun childhood, not to take away from that, but no, it started with that, and then I graduated into colored pencils. I mean, obviously crayons are mixed in there too, but I wasn't crazy about crayons because you can never really get the right consistency with them.
You're pressed so fucking hard.
Yeah, it's like insane. Or the worst is when you get those one crayons that have that like really sharp point in it out of nowhere, and you're like hamming in trying to shade something in, and all of a sudden you get this one streak because of that hard piece.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a fan of crayons. No offense to any crayon users, but
in Crayola,
not my medium. But it was really 4 years ago that I got back into painting because I got my own apartment. I finally had the freedom to just get into whatever I wanted to use. And I was like, I've always really wanted to do painting and I kind of want to do sculpture. So let me see what I can do with it. And I just, hit the ground running with painting.
So you've only been painting for like 4 years then?
Professionally for 4 years, but I've been doing painting. Wow. Like I've been painting, drawing, anything type of art off and on since literally I was 8. Like it really started when I did the Light Bright Illuminators contest when I was about 8 years old. Hasbro actually had a whole contest. Yeah, it was really cool. Well, you have to remember, my cousin. Sorry, I'm going to digress quite a bit.
No, it's okay. That's what we want to hear. That's the point. That's the whole gist of the show.
Yeah, no, my family. I'm fortunate to come from the family I do because it's a lot of creative people. Like my mom actually wrote children's stories. My cousin Frankie was still is a cartoonist and a caricaturist. I think I'm saying that correctly. He's the one that did the caricatures for Kiss, and he used to work for the. Yeah, no, actually I need to introduce you guys together because you would hit it off. He's actually in a band. He plays bass, but he can play like 4 other instruments, and he's
the guitars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's so cool.
But no, he's just really cool. And I remember this is before the Light Bright thing when my mom was actually working for a magazine that she and my grandmother created called Intrigue Magazine. And we went to my cousin Frankie's place, and he actually made my mom's signature on the computer. And it was the first time I got to see digital art. But then I started seeing all these like watercolor caricatures, and I was like, this is really cool. Why can't I do that? Yeah. So then I started trying out a little bit, and he saw it, and he was like, you're going to do big things because you're smart. So stick with it. And I was like, all right, I could do this. Cousin Frankie said it, I can do it. And then it just started to build on it. Yeah, no, absolutely. And no, from there we had I think I was in preschool at that point. I was going to Montessori school, and one of my teachers, his name was Jean, and she was the art teacher, ended up letting us do these caveman drawings. And that's how I actually found out about charcoal and chalk. And I did the caveman thing, and she actually went to my parents and like, you got to let her do art. This is definitely her calling. She's got something different because it told a story. Right. And then 2-ish years later, that's when the Hasbro thing happened. And I was down at Waterfire because they had an open call for artists. I think it was like ages 6 and up. Probably have to fact check that one. But basically they came out with the Light Bright board. I don't know if you remember it with the pegs in it and it turned all the different colors. Yep. I had 10 minutes to draw a picture. I was one of 5 kids that got chosen out of the entire country to go compete in New York. Went to New York a couple of days before the actual event. I drew the scene with like a Elvis Presley giraffe and a J-Lo turtle and these dancing monkeys in it because when the lights went on the thing, it reminded me of like disco music and stuff.
Yeah. I could see that.
So I did that. And then once I was in New York, I was like, I love the energy. I loved meeting other people that draw. Not that the other people in the competition could really draw, but that's neither here nor there. But it was like meeting the adults that could do it, meeting the adults that were in the advertising, and then being introduced to like World War II advertisements. And I was like, I can totally do this. Maybe not paint like that exactly, but you graduate through it, get into high school. Went in the AP art program for all 4 years. That was pretty cool. Applied to go in art school, got into a couple of them, got a pretty big scholarship from one of them. But at that point, the ultimate goal was to become an attorney because you had to do something smart at home so that it looked like you could maintain what you're doing as a artist, because art is not a career and blah, 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 blah. Right. But sorry, Mom, doing it. And now here we are.
Wow. I mean, that's crazy. That's so cool that something like that's not necessarily designed to kind of present art in that way was used to kind of spark the whole story. That's awesome. And it's funny too, that's always like the extended family member. Like I actually I don't know a lot about my family on my mom's side or my dad's side really, but I found out through like ancestry.com and a distant cousin that we had that I had an uncle that lived in Sweden. That's where all my family's from. His name was Bror, and he was a cartoonist.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, because nobody, like, I'm really the only one that kind of does anything artsy. And I was always wondering, like, and you've always heard it's passed on art, it's inherited from generation. And I'm like, well, who the fuck, there's nobody else I mean, my mom was creative. She was a florist. She did arrangements and all that kind of stuff, but not in the sense of like art, like drawing and painting and that. So it was really cool to find out we had an uncle, I had an Uncle Bror. His fucking name's awesome too, Bror. So,
that's wicked cool.
But it's cool. It's like the extended family that it's like one of those chance encounters that you don't ever really you have no way to anticipate. And it just leads into this, whole thing. That's so cool. But that's awesome. As a 6-year-old kid, you're going to New York.
Yes, I think I was 8.
8-year-old kid. Sorry. You're going to New York as a part of a competition for Light Bright. Like that's fucking insane.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So was it at that point, I mean, you made up your mind kind of then that like, okay, I'm going to be involved in art in some way. I know you saw this stuff with a cousin, but did you have a specific thing? It's like, this is what I want to focus on, or was it just, art in general? I just want to be creative. I want to do stuff.
I definitely wanted to help people through art, and I felt like it was my responsibility, being younger, to show everybody that everybody's beautiful, which I know probably sounds like a standard answer, but I grew up, and I was, again, fortunate to grow up in a diverse school, and then to come home where it wasn't diverse, and to see the contrast between how beauty was defined, how beauty then like manifested itself through different people's personality. Because in my mind, I thought, well, if you don't feel good, you're not going to act nice, because that was like a big lesson at home. And it was always that staunch difference between going home and going to school. And I felt like if I could show people that they can do this and they have something they can see, they have something they can strive for. And I thought if I could see it, I had to make other people see it. And that's how I was going to do it, through art. And I figured that way, 8-year-old brain, I'm going to be on the billboards in New York. And that's how I'm going to do is through ads. And you kind of learn as you evolve and start understanding what the world is, that there's more things than just ads or hanging up in a gallery. There's different ways to use art therapy, or to, like the caricatures, just giving someone that quick moment of, wow, I can really be this, or wow, I have something I can attain. That's kind of what did it.
It's such a weird thing how so many people are involved in it in one form or another, but almost everybody's in it for a different reason. There's not a lot of things I feel like that are out there that you can have such a wide kind of variety of motive for almost kind of the same couple of pencils or pens or paints or something like that. And it's funny you said earlier about the backgrounds too, because that's the one thing I've noticed about your stuff is you might not see it, but you can look at like one of the Maryland pieces. Then we'll share links in the video description, and people will be able to find them. But the one of the Maryland pieces that you did, when I see it, it's like the first thing I see obviously is Maryland and her expression and the lips and everything. And then I get closer, I'm like, wow, there's a whole fucking intricate background on this piece too. Like so I know like the running kind of thing with artists, at least my friends bust my balls. It's like, you're doing this thing, but where's the background? Your background's like fucking one color, or it's a couple of splashes. Like your background, you do a really intricate painting and then you do a really intricate background, but it doesn't clash. It's not too busy. It's like meshes. So like your composition, what are you, explain, please.
Well, the funny thing with that is I actually had the biggest problem going through high school with doing a background. And my art teacher, Mrs. Bruzy, used to always hammer home, you need to do a background, Jill, even if it's just a shadow. Like, you got to do something to have it all tied together. And
well, thank you, Mrs.
wasn't
Bruzy,
actually until,
Thank you, Mrs. Bruzy, for that.
Well, no, absolutely. Yes, thank you for pushing that. But even past that, I'm very philosophical and psychological, so I apologize for all the long answers to come. However, it was about a year ago that I started finally putting backgrounds in my paintings. It wasn't something I was doing leading up to it. If you look at any of the artwork I have I think 2020, because
COVID, basically.
Yeah, essentially. And COVID was really an eye-opener for me to have to understand what it truly meant to balance everything, and that what you think is right doesn't always mean it's going to be right, and what you have true to yourself is what you need to actually follow. And then once it kind of clicked in my head with that, it did the same thing with my artwork, where the busyness, which the background to me has to do with the background knowledge of a person or the backstory to that person, then evolves into the person itself. So if I can't get the backstory to make sense with the person in the front, and there's no continuity between the two of them, which is part of the reason why I do the color shifting in it too, just so that you have a different perspective on the piece, no matter where you're standing, even though it's all the same facts,
Yeah, that's really cool. You speaking of color shift, I was going to get into that a little bit later, but I think now's a good time. No, it's okay. It's perfect. Again, at the opening. So, first and foremost, for the month, you were a featured artist at the gallery. So it's not like we're just a couple pieces on a wall. You had your own section, it was really, really cool to see, and really well deserved too. But speaking of another Maryland piece, you walk up to it, and you see beautiful Maryland, you see the nice backgrounds, and there's some vines and leaves on the piece. And I'm looking at this side, I'm like, that's really green. That's really cool, like pinkish red leaves there. And then I was on this side talking, I look over, I'm like, holy shit, those are some really cool blue leaves there. I'm like, wait a second, they're the same leaves. So I've never ever seen in my entire life kind of color shifting where depending on where you're standing and where the light catches it, it's a different color. So can you go into that a little bit? Because I don't know if some of the listeners, maybe the people that follow, like, have heard of color shifting art or color shifting paints, or however you want to do it. Because I know it's a process. It's not just as simple as, put this one color on there. You were telling me about it. So
I've tried. They do have color shifting paint at like Hobby Lobby and Walmart, but I've tried it and it doesn't have the same type of effect. If you look at cars have the most dramatic one where it goes like from green to purple, and that was like wicked cool to me. But the truth of it was my sister Alexis, she's like a mini me but on steroids, and she was playing with my makeup, and I had this electric blue crayon stick for makeup, which is just basically like a creamy eyeshadow, and she got it stuck in my sink, and when that like dries up, it gets hard as the actual metal around the sink. Jesus. So it took about 4 different chemicals to actually get it to unclog the sink, and when I finally got it through, it looked like paint to me, just because I guess like my brain was working that way.
Artist brain, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But the cool thing was when it started drying, it went from that blue color to this like pinkish purple color. And I didn't know if that was because of the different chemicals I put in it or if that's just how it dried. So I ended up trying it again, but this time in a little Tupperware container, and it worked, but it ended up bleeding through the canvas and like literally burned a hole in the canvas because of the amount of acidity in it. So I was like, all right, this is not good. We need a barrier. So then a couple tries later and 19 layers later, I was able to get it where it actually does the shift. So it's very cool. It's a different thing, and half a mistake, but she's not allowed to touch my makeup.
Imagine if you stopped at 18 layers, we never would have known that it was color shifting.
No, like I've tried it too, where you try and do like 3 or 4 layers and you can't because it's not as dramatic. 19 is the magic number, and I'm not sure why, but
like, it's kind of cool how things just kind of come about by accident like that. You know, just a random kind of chance event, going to your cousin's house or fucking playing with a light bright. Little sister playing with makeup, and here we are with these new things. Like it's just really cool. So, I mean, for me personally, like when I'm looking at something, I can't really do a lot of stuff from my mind. I have to use reference. I'm looking at, I have to be kind of inspired by something. I'll take it. I'll try to take what I see and make it my own and customize it and do different things with it.
Yeah.
Like, are you the type of person that you can lock yourself in a room and just, I mean, I know you are because you got like 15 pieces done in a week, but do you need that kind of visual stimulus, or can you do more stuff from your brain? Like what's your ideal process?
I prefer the stimulus. I prefer seeing something to then build off of it. But if I have to, I can just do it, straight from my brain. It's definitely easier than trying to figure out, okay, if the light source is here and I'm doing a background this way, does that mean that continues, or is it going to be different now? Do we have a shadow and like what's going on?
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're doing work, like what are your goals? I hope somebody likes this, or, I mean, what's important for you to convey when you're doing something?
The depth of an image. It's that when you're actually looking at something, my goal is to change the perspective or the mindset of people that look at my art, so that no matter who it is or how you identify, like it does not matter on any of that. It just, there is a universal understanding that this person in front of you is beautiful because of however it's making you feel. That's my goal. If I'm doing like a normal piece of artwork that I do, if I'm doing like a more contemporary or commercial piece of artwork, I want someone to stop and think like, holy crap, I need to buy that product. That is wicked cool. I want to look just like the painting. I want to feel that, but I'll have an artistic quality to the ad. That's the goal with that one.
That's awesome. I feel like that's a good kind of spot to be too, because it's not, you're not living and dying based on the opinions of what someone thinks. Like you're trying to conjure up like a feeling in someone based off of what they see is super hard to do. And I feel like there's so much art out there. And I mean, even a lot of stuff that I do, I just feel like it's okay. Doesn't really conjure up an opinion either way. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Just kind of indifferent to it.
Right.
And every time I look at your stuff, it's almost like, I wish there was more of it to see. I wish this, you know what I mean? I wish there was more, because it's provoking. It really is. And you have a way to kind of, it almost makes me like nostalgic for a time that I never lived through, which is kind of weird. You know what I mean? Because it's like, man, it feels like I miss those days, but I'm like, I wasn't alive then. You know what I mean? So like whatever you're doing, it is working for sure. And I don't know if that's what, something you set out to do, obviously, but I think it's a nice quality that for work to have. But how do you deal with the bad days as an artist when everything sucks and deadlines are hitting up? I mean, how do you stay motivated?
I actually like deadlines. It's not so much the deadlines that get stuck on me, because I'm a chronic procrastinator. So if I know I have to finish something by then, it's like, all right, let me get that done. But in terms of like the art block or like not being able to draw something, that's when I go back to Maryland. I go back to the women that I know have continuously pushed themselves past the point of what I think a normal attention span or emotional span can handle, and still
Sure.
shown up, created what they did, and were able to transmute that particular feeling into what they created. You know,
Sure.
kind of like to piggyback on what you were saying before about the goal of a piece. It's not always about getting that positive thing, because I think sometimes the most amount of growth you have is from the hateful moments or from these very strong, sullen, you know, less than positive experiences that people sometimes have.
It's funny. So I get that. And just talking to you and kind of putting in some pieces together just in my head, listening, wanted to be a lawyer. You know, you wanted people to think that they're beautiful, about, you know, have that sense of self-worth. It seems like you're very, no matter, like, maybe art is a medium, but it seems like at the end of the day, like, your focus is kind of empowerment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really
Absolutely.
cool. So I mean, if it wasn't paint, I feel like you'd be doing something else that was, you know, geared towards making someone feel better about themselves or helping somebody out.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to school to be an attorney. I mean, that
Sure,
was
sure.
definitely something, because I felt,
Which you
obviously, I
probably would
like to
have been
gab
like,
quite a bit.
an attorney for
Huh?
people that are like wrongfully prosecuted or something. I could see that for sure, you know?
Well, yeah, no, and then actually, I'm funny that you're bringing that up, because one of my goals this year is to have a show with the Innocence Project in order
Oh,
to
wow.
use the color shifting to actually, yeah, raise money as a partial donation process. I am hoping to make money from it
Sure,
too,
sure.
but to help bring awareness to that, so that people can somehow restore freedom and redact that, like, perception and
The
that
stigma
inability to
of, yeah,
move
yeah,
off
yeah.
of, yeah, the stigma. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, it was either law or psychology. And while I love listening to people, I don't think I can sit there and listen 24/7 about why things aren't going right, because I know at least what I've gone through in my lifetime. And if you don't pull your pants up a little bit and, muscle through it, I'm
Yeah,
kind of resentful, which is something I got to work on.
sure.
But
No, I mean, well, some people want
yeah,
hugs and other people just want to be like,
yeah,
just, it's okay. Just pull up your big boy pants and just go to work and you'll be okay.
yeah. I mean, hugs
That
are
might not
okay
be the best
sometimes, but
advice for
it's,
a therapist.
yeah, yeah.
Fuck, like,
It's
you're
like you're
supposed
doing
to
that
love
again.
them.
We already talked about this 2 weeks ago. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah, totally.
But
So, I mean, what, like, do you care what people think about you, what you do with your art? Because I know, I mean, yeah, obviously I'm a big fan. I know there's a lot of people that really love your work. I mean, you've been, Jesus, I mean, just recently you're Westerly Sun, you know, you're in the newspaper,
yeah.
you've been, and you've been all over the place. Like, you're in stores, like, it's,
Mhm.
you kind of name it, you've had a piece hanging up there. And I know for me, like, there's times that I have really thin skin when it comes to the work that I do. What do you, I
Yeah.
mean, do you care if people don't like your shit?
And a short answer, no. Because I approached this like I worked in sales for a long time, and the biggest thing to remember is if you go to a dump, you don't complain that it stinks. It just kind of comes with the territory, right? So I know if
I'm
I'm
gonna
coming
keep
up with a
that. I'm gonna
visual
file that
medium,
away.
well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, if I'm someone somewhere is always gonna have something to say about what you're doing,
Sure.
no matter what. So if I walk into a room expecting everybody to love my stuff, I know it's not gonna happen. Expect everybody to hate it, it's not gonna happen either. It's just statistically impossible. But I mean, to each their own. I don't care as long as my bills are paid and nobody's hurt in the process. So if
Yeah.
you like it, great. If you don't, no problem.
I
And
guess I ask because I feel like sometimes, like, that, it can almost be motivating for people, especially artists, kind of prove somebody
mhm,
wrong, or, but I think that it's nice if you can be an artist and, like, the work that you do can always come from a place of kind of honesty from yourself, where,
yeah, absolutely.
we're always, it doesn't matter how thick your skin is. If someone doesn't like you, it sucks. I mean, you can get accustomed to it, you can get used to it, but there's still points that it just kind of stings and it sucks. So as an artist, it's just kind of, you put yourself out there in a way that a lot of other people can't and don't.
Mhm.
So I mean, you're almost by default exposing more of yourself to people than maybe other people would
Yeah.
be comfortable with. So I mean, for me, like, the reason just talking about rejection is it sucks sometimes. And I don't know, I mean, it's like the pieces that you do that you spend a lot of time on, those are the ones that you hope someone's going to like. And they're like, yeah, it's okay. But then the thing that you fucking did, it was basically a warm up. Oh, I love it. This is great. I love
Yeah.
what you did here and here and here. But it's just nice that you're able to kind of keep yourself going and, you know, just kind of do what you do. It's admirable for sure. I mean, so it's been a pretty big year. You've had a lot
Yeah.
of stuff that you've been doing, a lot of art. Like I said, you're showcasing a lot of things. what are some of your goals? Like what's next for you?
Definitely a beer can. My goal is to have my artwork on
Not
a beer at a
drinking
local
it, the
store
art
near
on
you.
it, by the way.
Huh?
Not drinking a beer can, the art on the can, not going out and getting the 6-pack.
Well, I mean, that would be a term goal too. You never know. But although I prefer whiskey, just as I don't.
Yeah.
So maybe a plate of that instead. But
Don't get me started on the whiskey.
I mean, I definitely want to get the beer can. No whiskey for you.
Oh no, that was my go-to for years and years and years. So.
Oh really? Well, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, the old timers can attest to that. People that have known me for a while. So.
That's very cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so the beer can, it's going to be. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I think it's fucking awesome if it comes to.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's officially in the works right now, but my hope is to Narragansett, because I did end up talking to someone who's friends with the owner of it. So if you get watching from Narragansett, like, please hit me up. I got the Shandy Have Another painting. It's actually really cool.
Perfect.
But I'd like to get one of those done. The Innocence Project as well, having that one go up. And then there's another constellation show I'm trying to get done. That's going to actually be in at a planetarium. And each one you're going to go through. Yeah. No, I figured it was like really cool venue. And I was like, I'll absolutely take it. But each one's going to have something for each astrological sign. And that's going to be the lead way into a tarot deck that I'm working on. So.
Okay. So there's a lot of other projects besides painting too. I mean,
okay. You got to keep yourself busy. So
are
it's
these
not
like
going to be
passion
just
projects for you as much as they are kind of, maybe marketing a little bit too?
Oh my God. Yeah. I think that's the big, if you can take one lesson from this conversation, is that if you can use everything that you're doing for work, make it a passion project. Because if you are not passionate about something, you're not going to really work towards it.
Sure.
And that you're never going to, work is work. You're always going to have to work in order to get what you want, whether it's a day off or to pay your electric bill. But if you can make it somehow something you enjoy doing, it's not as laborious.
Sure. I mean, that's kind of the point of the podcast, just obviously when you're in the art world and you do the stuff we do, it's like fucking 95% of the people we know are artists of some form or another. It's a kind of common thread.
Yep.
But it's everybody that I know. And we were talking about this a little bit before the show started. Mm-hmm. I don't really know a lot of people that make a living with art, but I know so many people that art is like their life, Yeah. So it's like, it's such a crazy story for so many people to kind of have to work the 9 to 5, have the family, have the responsibilities, but still make time to kind of pursue what they want to do. And it's just super interesting to me. Like, I want to hear people's stories. I want to know, like, just learning about the light bright stuff. I mean, that's so cool. Like, I've known you for a while, but I never knew that. Like, I'm interviewing people that I've known for like 15 years and I'm still learning stuff about them. To me, that's the coolest thing.
That's awesome.
That's kind of the point. But yeah, I mean, that's awesome. So what do you kind of hope to do? I mean, I know you're saying like some passion projects, planetarium, stuff like that, but like, what's kind of like bigger picture, like maybe some things that you really kind of want to get kind of done, started on?
I mean, the tarot is definitely a bigger picture item, just because that is so labor intensive, that it's very detailed. But I'm hopeful to then turn that into an actual business on the side of everything too. Like, one of the goals for this year too is to actually open up my own ability to do readings and tarot.
Oh, wow.
And have to pay tax on it. Like, my goal, like, affirming that to myself, I will pay tax on doing tarot readings because I give so many of them out, and I will pay tax because I help with so much spiritual guidance and life coaching aspects of it. But I kind of want to turn that into an entire, I don't want to say compound, but like a business and a lifestyle brand, so that people learn how to empower themselves from beginning to end. Started off as a nonprofit, grow that into an actual, for-profit business. This way it goes from state funding to private funding once we get the, viewership and the membership up, and kind of just go from there. That's the ultimate end goal. This way I can continue to do my artwork. I can continue to pursue my law degree so that I can use it and not have to pay an attorney, because I'm very cheap if you can't tell. And then go ahead and actually help people with rebuilding their mindset, because I think if you have a good brain, you can get everything else to work where it needs to. And a good brain just being defined as solution-oriented and open-minded. Not necessarily if you can like build a rocket or not build a rocket.
Yeah. No, solution-oriented is super important. And I remember, I've kind of touched on it before, but in my early 20s, I had a really tough time, living in Philly by myself, just not doing things I should have been doing. And lifestyle that I lived was a little bit, it just wasn't healthy, wasn't productive to any degree. But there was a time that the whole kind of, okay, well, doesn't matter what happened, doesn't matter whose fault I think it is. I got to kind of get myself out of this if I have any chance of doing anything. So I mean, I think that's super important and can't really be understated. And if you're able to kind of do something like that, which is huge, and it's above anything as far as a medium that you might use, but if you're able to kind of tie those two things together, I mean, that's like, it's got to be such a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment to be able to do something like that.
Absolutely.
Have you ever thought about opening up? I mean, I know you went to Montessori, you said. We were actually thinking about sending our daughter there for a little while. They're really good schools.
I can't recommend it highly enough. There's definitely something about learning by being around other people that know more than you.
Yeah.
Like that's
I mean, that's really the best way to learn. Even just in my job that I do, my 9 to 5, I had offers from Harvard and another company, and I took the job that I did because it was the best chance that I was going to have to work with people that were going to be able, I had the best opportunity to learn. And to me, that was the most important thing. So have you ever thought about opening up a school? Like, I could totally see you as like the headmaster or headmistress.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I'll take headmaster. That's not a problem.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Like, is it the mistress? Like, I don't know what that is. I'm, but insinuating that you're going to,
I think that might be a different type of business, but I don't know, tisk. Well, which could be a branch of, you never know, mind, body, spirit, try and get everything balanced. But no, I've definitely thought about being at a school that was on my, we used to call them vision boards when I was working for Verizon about what your biggest goal was. And like my business manifest, and it was supposed to have children go in it so you can teach them to flip the victim mentality into a problem solver mentality and kind of go from there. But I don't know. If I've learned anything over the past, actually, when did I meet him? Since 2018, it's that things in life, you can have a plan, you just got to roll with it as it changes, because what I might think is going to be the end goal is going to be a lot bigger than what I'm thinking, or a lot smaller. Sure. And how life is going, I'm just going to assume on the bigger, but you know.
That's so cool. I mean, just like walking into the gallery and seeing your work and really enjoying the work, and for whatever reason, I don't know if I've ever really been able to explain like why I like the things I like. It just kind of resonates, you kind of feel it. So to be able to be like, oh, I really like that stuff. But then to kind of realize, I mean, I had no idea there was such a story behind it as far as that, just like real sense of empowerment and that desire to empower people. So it's even makes it kind of cooler that I like that stuff because there's such a backstory to it,
Yeah.
But I mean, is art, what's that?
A little more depth.
Yeah, totally. So is art for you, is it the thing that, it's not always necessarily what makes the money, but it's the therapy? I mean, is there different things that you do for different kind of moods that you have? It's like, oh, when I'm kind of sad, I know that if you have the block, you go to the Marylands and you go to, the women characters that you like. But I mean, if just had a shitty day, like, what are you still painting? Are you painting when you're happy, when you're sad?
Oh yeah, no, I'm absolutely painting because I mean, painting essentially is my religion. I mean, which is probably a good and bad way to explain it, just because I feel like it needs to be habitual. So if you're gonna accept painting as your life process, then you have to know that that's gonna be there and that's gonna be the constant in your life, good or bad. And I find it's very easy to almost become meditative when you start to paint, or when I start to paint rather. So then I can kind of clear my mind and quiet my mind and get what I call gray matter, or like the noise in your brain, to go down on the canvas, so then I can actually sit down and think about, okay, this is what I'm thinking, this is the issue at hand, this is how I then fix it. Or I'm feeling down, why am I feeling down? Okay, well, I probably know why I'm feeling down, but let me just do this because that's going to clear my mind enough for me to get through it. Another big thing I do is there's a song called I Remember. Forget who it's by. I think it's like K-Not or something, but I like listening to that song and Billy Joel 100%. Like if I'm ever in a bad mood, Billy Joel's the way to go and you're right out of it. Kind of thing.
Fucking Billy Joel. I remember in high school.
Are you kidding me?
So, all right. In high school, I graduated in 2003.
Okay.
So I was in high school from like 1999 to 2003. And I just remember that all the cool kids liked fucking Pearl Jam and Billy Joel. And I don't know if they really liked Billy Joel or not. We listened to so much fucking Billy Joel at high school. It's like, even to this day, when I hear Billy Joel, I'm just like, oh, again, it hasn't been long enough It's been, almost 20 years since I've been out of high school now. And it's like, I don't know if it's been long enough that I haven't listened to Billy Joel yet. So it's funny. But for me, it's just like fucking super loud classical when I'm painting. I commend you for painting habitually, not even for like, the emotional, just the fact of like having to fucking prepare paints and clean brushes and all that shit on a regular basis. Like I commend you for for the dedication to do that, because that's literally like one of the biggest reasons why I don't paint all the time, because I have like, usually I'm up at, I'm either in the fucking super early morning or late at night.
Yeah.
And it's like, do I really want to do this right now? Do I really want to take these out? I have to clean these fucking brushes, and it's such a process. And I'm tired. It's like, I'm just going to do digital because I can just fucking pick up the pen and there's no mess. So I commend you for that.
I feel like that's like exercising though. Like when you think about it, it's a drive to actually have to get there to the gym, but then once you're in the gym, it's fine.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Painting's fucking awesome. I love it. I'm so new to it, but I totally understand what you're saying when it is meditative. It really is. And it's like the best exercise of mindfulness I think you can do, which is why I like it. I mean, I definitely got to do more, but just what you're able to do with it is just fucking insane. And it's like I said, it's like nostalgia for a period that I never lived through. So I mean, maybe that could be a tagline or something somewhere. But
I definitely found that somewhere.
Yeah, no, that's good. So I mean, do you have any kind of I know you do a lot of commissions and stuff like that, but are you super selective of what you do with commissions? I'm sure you get a lot of crazy requests. People say, "Oh, can you paint my dog?" Or, you don't do a lot of bowls of fruit.
So I try to avoid pets. I don't care if I can paint pets. I just don't. It's the hair. I can't stand doing hair, and that's why if you look at any other painting I do, all the hair is kind of like the same way. No, serious. Look at 4 of my pieces of artwork, and they all have the same thing. It's a really, really thick contrast, a bunch of highlights, and maybe a little bit of color, just identify. Yeah. Oh, this is a blonde. That's a brunette. Okay, you do any different colors? Probably not.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be honest for a second. I fucking hate commissions.
Yeah.
I really do. And it's probably like the craziest thing for an artist to say, that they don't like getting paid to do something that someone wants. But for me, art is that one thing that I do that makes sense. No rules at all. Nobody tells me what to do. And the minute someone tells me what I have to do, it's like, I don't want to do it. I don't know how to explain it, but it could be, I mean, there's definitely pieces I like to do. Like, for example, my buddy Chris, mentioned him. I'm going to have him on one day too. He's an artist destroyer that he does like kind of synthwave stuff, horror, he's absolutely amazing. You should check him out. I'll send you some links. But
yeah, definitely.
I woke up to a message from him one day, and it was like, "Hey, got the single coming out. Do you want to do the artwork for it?" And it was like, I couldn't say yes fast enough. You know what I mean? Like whatever he wanted to do, like I was totally on board. But when it comes to like, I've just flat out ignored people that, sorry if you're listening out there, that's like, "Hey, can you do this?" And I'm like, I know I don't want to do it. And I feel like the art's like that one thing that I can just basically, I don't owe you anything. You know what I mean? I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. If I don't want to do this, I'm not even going to respond to you. I mean, it's kind of a dick move, but it's like I hold on to that so tight because it's like the only kind of happy place that you can get sometimes. And it's, is it like that for you?
Yeah, it's therapeutic to you, it sounds like.
Are you going to do something because someone pays you enough money, or are you just kind of like, you know what? I don't want to fucking do this. I'm not going to do it. I don't care how much you pay me.
I didn't bills, absolutely, but I have bills and I like to eat, so
sure.
But
yeah, no, I mean, there's no wrong answer to that. It's just kind of like, for me, I'm fucking stubborn. I don't know. I don't want to fucking draw your dog. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? If it makes me an asshole, I'm sorry. I apologize in advance if you want me to draw your dog.
I totally,
But like I did a sketchbook last year. And I did a thing where it was, he had the sketchbook, and for a little bit of money, I did a custom piece in there. And I got some good ones. I got Ghostface. There's a Macho Man. I did like a Walter Sobchak. So I mean, I guess, there are some good ones to do, but I guess they got to be special.
Oh, cool.
You know what I mean? They got to be something special. Can't be the run of the mill shit because somebody wants to see that. But yeah.
No, I hear you. But
art's a weird thing.
That's interesting how you do it. That's cool.
it's a weird thing. I mean, I guess maybe it's different too, because you're working in, a color medium where you can do that stuff. For me, I like working in ink. So
Yeah.
some things don't make sense and like really kind of strong contrast. You know what I mean? Like some of the things don't really kind of come off well. But I've always liked the darker kind of shit anyways. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to draw tonight. Well, I'm going to go back, fucking do the Crow or something dark and Beetlejuice. You know what I mean? Like all these things that I love that are dark, and not dark in the sense of like depressing or, sadistic, just dark in the sense of lack of light. Lots of darkness and, midtones, but that's cool. So, I mean, I kind of asked this question to people that are on. How would you describe yourself if someone's like, oh, what's your thing? Like, what's the important thing for you to convey to someone? It's obviously empowerment, but would you say I'm a painter, I'm an artist, or how would you label yourself?
Depends on the interview, but typically I say authentic, because I believe that when you speak to me, what I say to you now, I will maintain, whether it's you, 10 other people, or 10 years from now. How I said it is how I said it, how I'll say it, unless there's some real reason why I should be different, and then I'll explain that. But
sure.
No, Jill of all trades, master of some.
That's I like that. That's good.
So, yeah.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like asking that question because it's not a question at all that you would kind of be expected. Like, it's a whole show about being an artist question. And, why would I don't label myself? But like, no, I want you to label yourself. Like, I want you to tell me, like, how would you label like, put a label on yourself, It's always curious what people say. Authentic is good. I like that. And it's spot on. It's definitely spot on for sure. So I know you just had a website launch too, right?
Yes, that got taken down because I had an issue with the catalog on it. So yeah, it's semi up kind of, but all inquiries on any type of artwork that you need from Jillian Lauren, please hit me up on my Instagram.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm going to post your links too in the video description so people can find you. But for sure, I mean, you're by far one of my favorite artists. I love looking at your stuff, and it's awesome to kind of see just the natural progression of like from no backgrounds to awesome backgrounds to color shifting backgrounds. And
thank you.
It was nice seeing that the things at 4 layers, and now that they're 19, it's even better.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But no, that's
dramatic.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's good.
Thank you.
So you said something in the beginning too about sculpting. I didn't know that you sculpted.
Yeah, I don't do it. I don't show a lot of it often. I do like to sculpt quite a bit though. I like figurative forms. I'm a lot more realistic when I sculpt than I am when I paint, surprisingly. But I like doing subtractive sculpture, and I like actually trying to play around with marble. Like, that's really, really hard, but trying to replicate what they used to do in Renaissancey times and everything else, to actually have to chisel it out and then sand it down.
So you're not doing like clay, you're doing like fucking hard porous.
No, I've done clay. I do clay, but sometimes what I'll actually do is I'll bake the clay off in my oven and then take it as a hard form and then start to chisel it down. Just because I think it's a smart thing to do, to have 2 different styles going on at the same time, because it sharpens each one as you're doing them. So you'll have a really abstract piece and then something like hyper realistic. That's why I'm just paying attention or looking at it with clean eyes,
Are you a fan of the same type of art that you do?
Depends on who it is. Like, my favorite artists are Gustav Klimt and Alphonse Mucha. Like, they're hands down my favorite people to look at. No offense to Andy Warhol, not really crazy about him, just because I feel like that was so overly commercialized that there's no depth to what he did. It was smart. It was a shtick. No gambles to him, but it's not something I particularly go for. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's when it comes to art, I can appreciate everything.
But everybody has favorites though.
Huh?
Everybody has favorites though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now there's something about Gustav Klimt, because I feel like there's a tenderness to it, but it's very bold. So there's no way for you to miss this. And there's like the kiss. The kiss is easily one of my favorite paintings. I can never get old just looking at it, just because of the depth that it has to it, and again the boldness of it, but the tenderness of that. Like, okay, does she really want to take it? But then he's going to give all this passion to her, and he can get stuck in that quite easily. But and then you have Mucha, who is another one, but I find a lot softer in the way he paints, but there's a boldness to him. and it's not as harsh as what Gustav did, but it's very, very cool to really look at and kind of pick apart and understand.
It's interesting. I know for me, like we've talked about this a little bit too. Like my favorite painters are Caravaggio and Francis Bacon.
Yep.
Not a lot of similarity between the two of them. I mean, I guess they both use paint, but for I've always, it's weird just how I talk about this. I touched about a couple episodes too, just preferences. And, the last episode, we were talking about music and how my music preferences change, but it's like the same stuff with art. I mean, I used to really be into kind of clean, tight line art. And especially in the comic world, you see so much more, that you're exposed to so much more of pinups and line art and stuff than you are like, just in painting and things. And then now it's like, man, part of me, I spent so much time trying to kind of replicate realism, what I saw in photos. And then, because I think a huge part of me wanted to kind of prove to people that I was good, that I could do this realism before I started doing this more kind of abstract expressionist kind of stuff, and it finally like got to the point that I'm like, I don't fucking care anymore if people think I'm good or not.
Right.
I just want to do what like makes me feel good. But I mean, it's tough because like you were talking about before, I mean, it's when you see that, I came from like the licensed art world, and the people that are making the most money are doing the realism and doing all these types of things. So of course you're going to be like, well, I want to try to get in on that too a little bit. So you try to do stuff, but it's not necessarily true to kind of what you want to do. So I mean, it's kind of it's hard. You're kind of you're teetering on both sides of the line as far as like what you want to do, but also I gotta pay bills, like you were saying. This bills do, I want to eat. This bills do, that bills do. But then you kind of get to the point where it just doesn't really make a difference, and you can do what you want to do, and it's nice. But for me, it was that total shift from realism to, I don't know, whatever the fuck I do now, whatever you want to call it. Has it always been kind of the same path for you? Like, this is the style that I have, this is what I want to do? Or did you feel like that's changed? Is that going to change? Are you
no, 100%
I know you're not
change.
doing the same stuff that you were doing a year ago or 2 years ago, but is it kind of in the same vein? Have you done kind of an about face?
No, I like you. I tried doing realism because when I was growing up, that's what art was. And that's how you have to strive to demonstrate you have any ability. But then you have to do these surrealistic things that, are so crazy out of the box. And then you get, like, for me, at least, I used to get really, really stuck on that because what I thought was, crazy and, stretched all the way out there, it ends up not being that whatsoever to whoever's looking at it. And that, that makes it somewhat discouraging at that point because I thought, okay, well, do I really know how to draw? Like, I know I can line everything up and do what I got to do with it, but is it actually good? So then I got back into chalk, and then chalk, it looked like you could actually touch things on the paper. So I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do the softer look. All right, fine. I'll go along with this. But it's interesting because if you look at, like, I illustrated a book for my mom. She wrote Ketchup and Fries, and I actually illustrated cover to cover on the book, and it's all in colored pencil and watercolor. If you look at that compared to what I paint normally with acrylic paint, it's like 3 different, because but the color backgrounds compared to colored pencil drawings and the actual characters compared to the acrylic paint look like 3 different people.
Oh wow.
So it just kind of, it evolves with the medium and evolves with what I need to actually paint. But my true style is the high contrast, because when I get migraines, that's how I see everything. Like, the couch looks like that, the people look like that, and that's just easy to go to. Yeah.
So you were just kind of saying like that kind of reinforcement and that, am I fucking this up? Am I fucking this up? No, we're good. I feel like every piece I've ever done was just like, there's always that point when you're like, I fucked it up. I got to start over again. Yeah. It's just shit. No, wait, hold on. No, we're good. Okay, we're good. It's kind of like the same process every single time. We've done it how many times, but we still have like no faith in ourselves that we're going to, at the end of the day, we're
100%.
At the end of the road, it's going to be what we want it to be, but there's no faith like on the road there. It's like, who's driving the car? I don't know, but we're going to get there. Doesn't make a difference. That's good. The children's book I never knew that too. That's really cool. Do you want to do more stuff like that down the road, or?
Yeah, I have to. My mom wrote a lot of them. She reminds me on an almost daily basis that, hey, I did this 25 years ago. What's going on? I see you whipping out paintings like it's water. Can we move it? Like, kind of thing. Yeah. So that needs to get done. Come hella high water. But there's I think 9 other stories to finish with that one. So
wow, Okay.
Got to get those done. But
so if you didn't have to worry about money, you didn't have to take jobs that you didn't want to take, like what is your nirvana as far as art goes? Are you in a studio with just giant canvases? I mean, what's kind of your happy place? What's your ideal place to be as an artist?
I guess exhibitionist, which is not the right way to put it, but I don't mind having everything on display. Let me think about that for a minute. Definitely painting very large pieces. Like it's very fun to do that, and then I have to do the contrast in some of the small area to smaller pieces. But I kind of, want my cake and eat it too. I want my own private studio so I can do, but I want to be able to go in front of big crowds, kind of like Bob Ross, and just teach people how to do it and see them get excited when they finally learn how to do something, or, whoa, I didn't realize you could do this, and just kind of explode on that and help people find their creativity and find their inspiration and, that belief in themselves that they can actually go ahead and do it. So I guess both.
More back to the empowerment. That's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'd sign up. I think it's especially nowadays too everybody has a podcast. Everybody has like a Udemy course, but YouTube channel that they're showing you how to unbox things. So, I mean, I think you'd be.
Yeah, I want it in person though. I appreciate everything with social, but I definitely miss the authenticity of being in person.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird time for us. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're. Like my wife talks about when she was young, their grandmother would she took them all over the world, Egypt, but they went to like, the Met, and they just went to all these places in New York, and, the art museums, and, the science museums, all these places. And like, you had to go somewhere to appreciate what you were seeing. So it's like, I feel like it kind of made it more impressionable because you kind of had to do something to get there. It wasn't just, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like nowadays it's fucking hard as an artist nowadays when all you really have to rely on is social media. I mean, even if you are at a gallery, you have to hope that the people that are at the gallery are doing enough that they can get people to the gallery. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just one big kind of rat race. But I don't know. I mean, I guess, what do they say? If you do the good work, people will see it. But it's fucking tough. I mean, how are you able to kind of present yourself the way that you do, like with just how fucking pain in the ass things are nowadays with social media and promotion and ads and algorithms and all this other bullshit?
Well, like you said, or like I said before, work at a dump, you expect it to stink.
Yeah.
I mean, this to me is a sales aspect of it, or that to me is the business part of it. So having the ability to compartmentalize that when I'm in the zone to create my artwork, I'm in there to just create my artwork and be present in that moment. But then when I get on Instagram, when I get onto these other platforms, I know that I need to promote it as much as I can, tag as many people as I can. And then when I do finally have the opportunity to talk to someone, every single opportunity, no matter who it is, you need to take it and treat it as an opportunity and treat it as a business opportunity specifically. So you need to, have a couple of main things that go on. One, what is my name? Make sure they know who I am, know how to find me. Two, be genuine and present in the moment. So just because I think the person behind you is really going to be the moneymaker for me in that conversation, I need you to feel like I'm giving you all of my attention and I'm really vested in whatever you're saying to me, whether or not I give, a crap less or not. Because there's something that someone is saying that you can always find some common ground and bleed over on it. And then three, how am I going to make this conversation profitable to you? Because if you find it profitable, I will find my money.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or I will find my opportunity.
That's good advice. That's very good advice.
Yeah.
I like that.
No, definitely. And then if that still fails, try and, I'm a big believer in cold calling. Look at different businesses that, like, if I see a logo, hey, I think this is really great, but based on what I understand with your business, Mr. Hamburger Maker, I think we could do this, rebrand, and then kind of create something off of that or start that conversation. That's another big thing to do. So.
Wow. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
So what would you say to yourself like 15 years ago as an artist? Maybe that the girl that wanted to quit or wasn't sure. Or, I mean, I like asking that question too. What would you say to your younger self?
Yeah, 15 years ago, I still had that fire because I think I was like 11. But 10 years ago, don't forget that life is, A lot of people are going to tell you life is going to get better. It does get better by both chance and change. And you have to understand that the more you believe in chance, the more change you're going to affect. So don't lose sight of that, and don't lose sight of the fact that there will be people that are going to help you along the way, and you need to be willing to accept the help. And where you are uncomfortable accepting the help, it's okay to say no, because there is a cost to being cheap. So
some fucking dropping knowledge over here. It's pretty good. Awesome. Well, I had a good time. I appreciate you coming on. And like I said,
thank you so much for having me.
Sure. I'll make sure to link all of the socials and all the good stuff in the video description. If there's anything that you want to kind of promote, I know you said the website's kind of on the fritz a little bit, but where can people see more of you? At
JillianLauren.art at Instagram. Period. Only Perfect. Place right now.
Okay. Good. Well, like I said, thank you for coming on, folks. I hope you enjoyed the chat as much as I did. Make sure to check her out too. Until next time. Thanks.
Thank you.
The Starving Artist Podcast with Dave Fowler.